The Biden decline scandal keeps progressing downward, looking worse and worse for the Democrat Party as more and more info gets revealed. We have now learned that former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with late-stage aggressive prostate cancer that has begun to metastasize in his bones. And while many news sources are rightfully displaying this news and asking what treatment options are available for him and what this means for his future, there are bigger questions that need to be asked when it comes to Biden's cancer that the mainstream media, of course, is not focusing on. Uncomfortable questions. You see, I'm not the only one who finds President Joe Biden's stage 4 aggressive prostate cancer diagnosis to be very suspicious and offsetting. Medical experts are speaking out on this, stating that they are very taken aback by this diagnosis, basically implying that things are not adding up when it comes to this. And see, I've had some time to think about this now, and I'm going to put together this video exposing what I believe could be the sinister truth behind President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. And I'm going to do that all right now on American Advocates. This was found by physical examination by a prostate exam, Siegel said. A lot of times we find an elevation in prostate-specific antigen, PSA, and then we go after it. I mean, he must have had the best possible care here. I'm a little taken aback that it's this far advanced. Someone who has a rise in PSA automatically gets an MRI. Based on those results, a biopsy may follow. Siegel pointed out that prostate cancer is extremely common among older men. In fact, he said more than 80% of men over the age of 80 have traces of prostate cancer cells. It would be really surprising if they weren't doing a very close screening on this, because everybody knows in the medical community that this is the one cancer in men you really look out for. Those are the words of a medical professional when it comes to prostate cancer, and when it comes specifically to the diagnosis that Joe Biden has stage 4 aggressive prostate cancer that is metastasized in his bones. He's not shying away from the fact that he's taken aback by this diagnosis, as many more people should be. Let's think about this critically. Prostate cancer is a very common cancer men are diagnosed with, especially as they age. It's an easy cancer to detect, and it's actually one of the easier cancers to treat. The survivability rate for men diagnosed with prostate cancer is anywhere between 90 to 97.5%. The odds are very good, especially if the prostate cancer is caught early. The very fact that Joe Biden's prostate cancer is already in stage 4 and metastasizing in his bones implies that he must have had this cancer now for quite a few years. And while medical professionals are saying that this is a very aggressive cancer that's moving quick, that doesn't change the fact that this cancer didn't just pop up last week, last month, or very likely even last year. And now a video is resurfacing on the internet of President Joe Biden in 2022 delivering a speech where he appears to slip up and say that he has cancer.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
At the time when this happened, they claimed it was just another lovable political gaffe by the political gaffe machine known as Joe Biden. But now, in hindsight, this video becomes a lot more interesting. Was it a gaffe? Was it just a misspeak? Or was it an accidental slip-up of him speaking information that he was told not to disclose to the American public? If former President Joe Biden was dealing with prostate cancer back in 2022, the fact that it's in late-stage form now metastasizing in his bones does seem to fit the timeline a lot better, doesn't it? What also seems to fit the bill a lot better is the fact that it's metastasizing in his bones implies that he's going to be feeling a lot of pain in his bones, as well as his bones now are going to be getting weaker, more brittle, and damaged easier. That also seems to add up too, because Axios, along with releasing all of the damning evidence when it came to Joe Biden's mental decline in that 5-hour-long interview they released, has also released information like this article. Exclusive, Biden aides discussed wheelchair use if he were re-elected, new book says. The book, titled Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again, by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. This Axios article goes on to say something even more fascinating. Given Biden's age, this appears to be a quote by his physician Kevin O'Connor, also privately said that if he had another bad fall, a wheelchair might be necessary for what could be a very difficult recovery. the authors of this book report. They tried to figure out shorter walking paths, began insisting on handrails for steps up to the stage at his appearances, had him wear sneakers more often, changed his visual briefings before events to ensure he knew every step he was expected to take, and guided him more carefully through the movements. This is starting to make a lot more sense, why he was falling more, but it gets even deeper than that. This next part of the video I want to emphasize is more speculative. If the timeline does add up and point to the fact that he's been struggling with prostate cancer for quite a few years now, one of the things you'd expect him to be taking is prostate cancer medication. And that medication would likely come in the form of a medication called Lupron. Lupron is a medication that lowers hormones in men, specifically testosterone, which encourages the growth of prostate cancer typically. Lupron comes with a lot of nasty side effects, and all of these side effects seem to fit the bill of what we witnessed when it came to Joe Biden's mental decline while in office. Not only does this Lupron medication mimic the effects of Parkinson's, symptoms known as drug-induced Parkinsonism can include tremors and slow movements. While Parkinsonism caused by medications is not the same as Parkinson's disease, it can be mistaken for it, even by medical professionals. You see, many people have concluded that Joe Biden has Parkinson's disease, once again explaining why he falls, tremors, shakes, doesn't walk very easy. But what if it's because he's been taking Lupron for all the years that he's likely had prostate cancer now, and it just wasn't disclosed to the general public? But see, this medication gets even more interesting. When it comes to Joe Biden's mental decline and dementia-like display, it turns out Lupron is linked to that as well. Hormone therapy for prostate cancer associated with a greater risk of dementia. The leading treatment for prostate cancer, that being Lupron, may, in the longer term, increase a person's risk for dementia, a new study finds. So isn't that interesting? This is why I'm making this video, because these are the real questions that need to be asked. And I'm going to take it a step further. If they knew about Joe Biden's cancer and weren't disclosing it to the American public, why then didn't they just let him finish his first term and get out of office to deal with this cancer privately? Why did they choose to allow him and even encourage him to seek a second term in office? You see, in my opinion, this is where the plot really thickens. My hypothesis on this all deals in the fact that Joe Biden, when it came to Democrat primaries and popularity from within the party, polled a lot better than Kamala Harris did. In his first term, with Kamala Harris as his VP, Harris managed to achieve the worst vice president approval rating in American history at just 28%. Not to mention, when it came to the 2019 Democrat primary polling, Kamala Harris also managed to tank her poll rating from a strong 15% start in the early summer of 2019 all the way down to 1% or less by the end of summer, which forced her to drop out embarrassingly. Kamala Harris has never been popular, at least not with the American public. But when it comes to the liberals, they desperately want a first female president in office. Not to mention, as time goes on, it seems more and more that the Democrats are comfortable planting in their hand-chosen leader for their party. This started back in 2016 when they egregiously screwed over Bernie Sanders in favor of Hillary Clinton, a female potential president. But this hasn't gotten any better in time. The Democrats continue to screw up their primaries, choosing to overstep the principles of democracy and just plant their candidate of choice in front of their party, expecting them to vote for them. And in my opinion, Kamala Harris's lack of popularity made them realize that their best bet to get her in the Oval Office as president was to allow Joe Biden to run for a second term knowing that he had debilitating cancer, at which point he would be forced to step down after achieving that position and pass the torch to Kamala Harris, making her not only the first female president in American history, but an easy-to-control sock puppet president, just like Joe Biden was during his first term, likely due to his dementia-like side effects from taking Lupron. Again, this is hypothetical, but these are the questions that need to be asked. Like I said, I believe the chances of something a lot more sinister happening here are pretty high. I don't understand how somebody like Joe Biden, who was a president under what you would assume is constant medical supervision and the best medical care possible, has late-stage aggressive prostate cancer metastasizing in his bones. That doesn't seem like it's an accident to me or an overlook. His wife, Jill Biden, what was she doing during this time? Something is not sitting well with me when it comes to Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis and how it's already at stage 4. But let me know what your thoughts are. Am I looking too far into this? Am I just a crackpot conspiracy theorist? Or do you think I have some valid points when it comes to the timeline of all of this and my hypothesis on how and why his cancer has gotten so far and has become so bad? Comment down below with your thoughts and subscribe to American Advocate for more content. Thanks for watching.